Don't tell me the Bible has nothing to say about cell phones. You're nuts. The Bible would teach us and tell us many things that edify us in this conversation. For example, in 1 Corinthians, you say I'm allowed to do anything, but make no mistake, not everything is good for you. You can do anything, but that doesn't mean that everything is good for you. Even though I'm allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything.
Ever feel like technology is running your life? Like your phone knows you better than you know yourself? Technology is amazing. It connects us, entertains us, and even helps us grow in our faith. But could it also be distracting us, shaping our thoughts, even controlling us? In our new series, we're exploring the promise and the perils of technology, how to use it wisely without letting it control us. Technology makes a great servant, but a terrible master. So let's learn together how to make it work for us, not own us.
Hey everybody, this is Pastor Andrew with Christ Church. Thrilled to be able to sit with you today, and not only alone, but also with Dr. Melissa Nelson, who's here with me. She's a mental health expert, and we're having a conversation today about the significance of technology and the correlation as it relates to our life as Christian people, as it relates to individuals, mental health, and the impact on mental health. What are some of the big things that you have noticed within the context of mental health, within the context of your field, related to technology? Any standout things? What are you noticing and just what are you seeing?
I think the trends of technology use, to me, are some of the biggest concerns. So, for instance, right now, literature showing that teens average 9 hours of screen time a day, which is more than a full-time job. And so when you kind of factor in just the sheer quantity of time spent in front of a screen, it makes you realize how much our screens shaping character development and values and the big stuff that we care about our kids and young adults feeling grounded and rooted in.
Okay.
And so there is a need to differentiate in particular that, again, the use of technology isn't all bad. Social media in particular can be that golden calf of our current generation, where it becomes something that we seek after, we lust after, we become addicted to, we worship in some ways, because we put so much of our time and our effort and our energy into conforming to it, rather than finding roots in things that really matter.
Choosing to expose ourselves to so deeply shapes the messages that shape us.
Absolutely.
That reinforce specific narratives and certain lines and certain tropes. And so, if you're quick to, it's now to the point where I know for most, I forget what the statistics are, like how many times a person a day touches their phone.
181 notifications a day is the average.
181 notifications? Wow. Okay, so that's how many times your phone is just giving a notification and a beep saying, pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me. If you can't put it aside, and that's an indicator where it has become, it has control over you. The golden calf. It has become your God in some ways, right? And now you're talking about idolatry, a whole bunch of messy spiritual stuff.
Yeah, nobody's logging into like Snapchat or TikTok thinking, how can I show goodness and gentleness and faithfulness and self-control today? And I think it's the awareness that technology is going to amplify any aspect of yourself, good or bad.
Ooh.
So if you struggle with a shopping addiction, technology is going to amplify that because it's immediately available.
Yeah.
If you are constantly on sports and that is all you speak and teach, it's going to be amplified that. We have to find ways that as a community of believers that we provide refuge from it. Yeah. And so I think it is also necessary for Christians to really take an additional measure of caution in what they post, in what they consume, because it can divide in a way that is unhelpful. I think about so many of those smaller letters, like multiples of them echo this theme of, don't get stuck in the little corals. Don't get stuck in division.
So
right? And I think particularly now that reigns true in our Christian communities. Because the post that you may post without thinking it means much may be the exact reason why somebody's fearful to approach you at church.
Hopefully it's been informative, helpful, and edifying, as the Apostle Paul would say. Hope this built you up some. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of it. And hopefully you feel grounded as you navigate the scope of responsibility with wisdom and character as you engage with technology. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, good morning. Welcome to Christ Church. We're a church about lifting lives, elevating Christ. We're a church for those not here yet. I'm Pastor Andrew. I'm glad that you guys are here now. I'm thrilled to be able to engage in a new conversation as we kick off a new sermon series called What the Tech this morning. We are coming off of the excitement and the thrill of Easter. We had an incredible Easter celebration. Thank you to those of you who had a chance to participate with us in that experience. We had over 2,000 people here as a church body gathered together, worshiping and experiencing the story of the resurrection and how powerful that is. But as we know, our faith does not just simply sit within Easter Sunday, but carries forward into the rest of our year and into the rest of our lives. And so we now take that confession and that belief in Jesus and who he is, and we begin to usher that into this Sunday and all the Sundays to come. And so we are going to continue as Christian people to engage with the world and in our lives, and particularly what we're going to engage with over these next few weeks is a really important topic of conversation, and that is around technology. We are going to be having this conversation. I'm going to ask for a mature conversation with you and from you. I'm going to ask for your grace for both myself and Vicar Nathan as we navigate this conversation at the intersection of faith and technology. This is a controversial, this is a very opinionated conversation that people come to with a whole host of things. Our goal is not to convince you of certain things. It is simply to engage in the conversation alongside of you and to do some important work as specifically those of us who ascribe to the Christian tradition of understanding the significance of technology and what does it mean and what does it look like for us to be Christian people in this world navigating technology. That's the goal of these next 4 weeks. We've had a lot of fun kind of thinking about and preparing for this series. In fact, the bumper video, that first video that you saw, the introduction video, it has a voiceover of me and an image of me. I had nothing to do with that whole video. I never said those words. They were created by AI. Our tech director made that entire video from himself, fed one of my sermons into an AI generator, and is now able to say whatever he wants in my voice, which is a little creepy. But it's to show you the power and the significance that we got to take this stuff seriously, the way in which it touches our world, and that we live in this world that is saturated with the importance and the evolutionary movement. I mean, there is an absolute exponential boom in relation to the rise of technology in these last number of years. And so it is important for us. This is one of the things that I love about this church. Thank you. As your pastor, thank you for being willing to have meaningful, pertinent conversations that take a maturity and a thoughtfulness. We're willing to do that around here. Talk about stuff that is difficult sometimes to talk about with grace and with compassion and really seeking to understand Jesus in the midst of it. So that's what we're going to try to do over these next number of weeks. And when we talk about technology holistically, technology is like this really broad, big idea, right? Everything from fire. Fire is technology. I'm a big fan of fire. It cooks my food, okay? Like, the technology as a whole has such a wide and varied many facets to it and can be understood on this grand, massive scale. Everything from pen and paper, the light bulb, the steam engine, right? Technology is so big. But more specifically, let's get particular on what we're talking about over these next 4 weeks is not technology on that grand scale, but technology specifically related to digital technology. The manifestation of digital technology in recent years and the significance and the growth of it in recent years, the demands and the ways in which it has now saturated our world, environment, and lives. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about digital technology. And what does it look like and what does it mean to have a healthy relationship, therefore, given the pertinence of technology? What does it look like to have healthy boundaries and to understand rightly this incredibly powerful tool that we have? And for those of us who do ascribe to the Christian tradition, who identify as Christians, there are really significant implications There are really significant implications. Part of my goal today is to help you see and realize some of those implications of navigating as Christian people. Technology, digital technology today. So let's begin, though, the conversation. Let's set the conversation up with a tech check. Let's do a little self-examination. This is not, in no way is this series an anti-technology, anti-digital technology series. That's not what this is. This is seeking to simply understand and to rightly employ healthy habits and healthy mindsets, healthy frameworks for us as we engage with technology. And so to help us do that, part of it is even just getting a lay of the land. So let's start with a tech check. Let's do some self-examination. I'm not talking about examining your spouse's use of technology. I'm not talking about examining your kids' use of technology. Let's do a self check. I got 3 questions for you. Here's a good self-examination tech check that we can apply to ourselves. First thing, what is my actual screen time? How many of you have a phone this morning with you? If you're in West, raise your hands too. How many of you guys got your phone? Okay, pull them out right now. Seriously, pull them out. Pull out your phones right now. Pull out your phones. We're going to do it together, everybody. Pull out your phones. Here's what I want you to do. Did you know that your phones, all smartphones have this now, you can actually look up your current screen time usage? Did you know that? It's usually in your settings somewhere. If I go to my settings, I've got a Google Pixel as an example for you. It's under my digital well-being and parental controls. I'm a parent. I'm clicking in there. All right. And it will tell me what your screen time usage actually is. And I don't know about you, I can look at this by certain day. I can look at this by a week. I can look at certain levels of notifications that come up. As an example, when I was prepping some of this sermon and looking at my own usage, you know, what is my usage in this? Like if I click into this, what apps do I use? You know, if I go to some random day, okay, let's just, notifications, here we go. Notifications will go for this last Friday. I had 113 notifications. I don't know about you. I don't know if that's a lot. I don't know if that's a little, but that's how many I had. I had 90 text messages on that day. I don't know, is that a lot? Is that a little? I'm just getting a lay of the land in terms of my own self. This is me and my usage. What's yours? And are you okay with it? What's your usage? And are you okay with it? Look at the hard data. Okay, next question. How do you feel about your phone? What I want to talk about now is I want you to take a mental and emotional trip with me into a fictitious experience. Let's say it's Friday night and you're with a friend or a companion, you're with your spouse, and you're going out to coffee, you're going out to lunch, you're going out for breakfast, you're going out to dinner, whatever. You're going to a restaurant, and you pull up and you go in and you sit down in the booth and you get your menus and you're hanging out and you're talking, and then all of a sudden you realize you left your phone in the car. How does that make you feel? Do you feel nervous? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel relieved? How do you feel? Do I need to get up and go get it? How many of us would get up and excuse themselves from the restaurant, from the conversation with the person, to go to the car and get the phone? A lot of us probably would, guys. And there are a variety of reasons for that. Right? Not all of this is not good or bad. This is just an understanding. How do we respond when we have, like, for example, we leave our phones? So I'm on call 24/7. My phone could go off anytime. So if I do not, do you guys remember pagers? I used to have a pager. And it was like one of the worst experiences. I still remember this when I was younger. I was a chaplain in a hospital, and I had the overnight pager, and I couldn't find it. And I just about died. I was going to sign myself into the hospital because I was so nervous. There is a bodily reaction, a physiologically, chemicals flow, like the anxiety and the nervousness, because there's a responsibility for me as tied to this manifestation of technology, because it provides access and responsibility to my job and my work environment. And therefore, when I don't have my phone on me, I get nervous. I wonder. Fear, anxiety, and I get warm. And I know I'm not alone in that reality. Right? So how do you react? How do you feel? How does your body respond when you don't have your phone? Conversely, when I go away on like a backpacking trip or a canoeing trip and I can't bring my phone, it is the most freeing experience that I have every year, because I am inaccessible. And it's one of the best weeks of my year every year. And I have more peace in my body because I'm not worried about where my phone is. So how do you feel when you don't have your phone? Okay, here's another question for you. Am I phubbing? Do you guys know this word? I just found out about this word. We're expanding your vocabulary here at Christ Church. Phubbing. Okay, what is phubbing? Phubbing is the smashing together of two words. This is a new word that is being used increasingly. It's the smashing together of phone snubbing. Phone snubbing. Phone snubbing is when you're in conversation with someone or you're interacting with someone, and in the course of that interaction, you pull out your phone and you start doing things on your phone. That's called phone snubbing or phubbing. And it is being studied now, not in relation, this is actually the scarier part to me. It's being studied, it's being examined right now as it relates to specifically parenting, because of the ways in which parents pull out their phone while interacting with their children. And now there's a lot of studying going on as it relates to children and how children are internalizing the reality of snubbing and what that speaks into their understanding of the world and relationship. And so we're starting to study this stuff now. So you need to find someone that you love and trust who can be honest with you, and you need to be in a spirit of humility. And you need to ask your spouse or your good friend, maybe even your kid or your grandkid, are you someone who phubs? Phubs? Do you phub up? Phubbing, is that something that is a habit of yours, where you disconnect with the person in front of you in order to connect with your device? And through your device, probably connect to somebody else. Those are hard questions to ask as we take stock and do some tech check and self-examination of our use of digital technology. Now, again, technology is not bad. These are not bad things. In fact, before you blame the tool, the goal of this series is not so that you can just like throw your phone out. That's not what this is. If that's what you're taking away, take a deep breath. Be an adult, okay? That's not what we're doing here. What we are doing here is trying to rightfully understand and relate to the significance and pertinence of this in your life and in this world. This is just a tool. It is only a tool. Now, it's a controversial tool, but we have other controversial tools in our world. We need to understand and acknowledge that the use of some tools have bigger consequences. And this is one of those tools that has a greater consequence as it relates to your life, my life, and the lives of others around us. And so there's an air of sobriety and seriousness with which we need to enter into this conversation. That we understand the responsibility of what it means to be handed and equipped with this tool. Now, specifically, digital tech is really, the studies are showing and the significance is showing that what digital tech as a tool is able to do is provide instant access, immediate access. It allows you, do you guys remember, how many of you can remember when the iPhone came out? Do you guys remember when the iPhone came out? Mind-blowing. The year was 2007. Let me set the stage for you. I still remember at that time, I found out that the local librarian had an iPhone. The library has never been so busy because everybody wanted to see the iPhone. And so literally, we all went to the library to see an actual iPhone that could, in the same moment, provide access to your music. You could call someone. You could go on the internet with this thing. I mean, it was like, what? All of that instantaneously in your pocket? You had instant access wherever you went, wherever you go, to a whole scope and range of things and people that allowed you to engage with the world like never before. It provided instant, immediate, and easy access to a whole host of things. Now, bear in mind that with that came easy access to you. That for as much as I now have easy access to the world has easy access to me. And the environments that we live in reinforce this. I don't know about you, but if I don't respond to a text message or a phone call or an email within 20 minutes, I get a follow-up. Because there's this expectation of instantaneous response. You know how humanity is so good with patience and all that. And so the reality is that for as much as I now have access, incredible, powerful access to a whole host of things, so also a whole host of things has access to me. By the way, parents, this is one of the things that we teach our kids in middle school and high school conversations. Specifically, if you're handing your kid a phone, you are providing them access to the world. Bear in mind, I learned this from Vicar Nathan, you are also giving the world access to them. When you give a young person a phone, you are giving them access to the world, yes. You are also giving the world and all of its voices and influences and powers access to them, which is why we need to take this seriously. We need to talk about this stuff. Now, access to the world at large is such a powerful thing, and it seems so wonderful, and it can be. I mean, I can call my relatives. I can Zoom with friends. I can plan and execute and do things on this phone. I can work. People are always surprised nowadays. It used to be that a pastor had the pastoral study in a pastoral office. I don't have an office. You know why? This is why. If I have my laptop, if I have my phone, I have my office. My office is wherever I go now. I mean, it's an incredibly powerful tool and can do amazing and incredible things. We're going to explore that later on. But it begins with the sobering seriousness of recognizing that with that powerful tool comes some powerful temptation. Comes the reality that for as much as I have easy access to the world, that means that I also have easy access to my vices, my problems, my idols. And if you're a Christian, you should sit up at this. An idol is a false god. It is when we trade the real, true, living God of the universe, his power, his might, and his majesty, and his lordship and authority over ourselves for something else. Where we forsake the Lord our God and instead choose to put our identity, our significance, deriving value, where we actually take the mantle of power and authority that God shares with us to rule over the world, and we give it to a piece of the world, which in turn now rules over us. That's what an idol is, where we stop worshiping the Creator and we start worshiping aspects of the creation. And this has been a problem since the very beginning, and it is a problem to this very day. Forces and powers and realities in our world and in our lives that we ascribe too much worth and value to a point where they begin to control us, and we, in effect, worship them. You want some examples? I'll give you some. Materialism. There's an app for that. Belonging and social interaction. Entertainment, dopamine. Gotta love that dopamine hit. You guys know what dopamine is? All the chemical stuff that goes on in your brain. When it fires off and it feels good, every time you open up tech and screens specifically, you get a dopamine hit. Sports can become a god, an idol for people. I kind of wish I was preaching this sermon series during the fall, because I know that half y'all have NFL notifications that come up while I'm preaching. Yeah, I'm totally looking at my Bible right now, Pastor, totally. As you're like, checking out this, that, whatnot. Uh-huh. But this is what we do, right? Financial security, relationships, lust, unique hobbies. Like, for example, if you're subscribed to too many backpacking and canoeing channels on YouTube. These things that creep into our lives and in our world that are on the other side of the screen. It's not that the tool is bad, but make no mistake. This tool is so powerful because it can provide instant access to powers and forces in our world that deteriorate your humanity and make you less the person you want to be and less the person God wants you to be. It's what happens. I know I'm not a good dad when I spend too much time on YouTube Reels or Shorts. And an hour goes by and I haven't interacted with my children. I am less than I should be and could be and who God has made me to be. And it's because it's so easy. It's so easy to access the idols that are part of our lives and our world. And those idols bring real, true, and significant consequences, and not the good kind. See, the issue is not the tool itself. The issue is not digital technology. That's not the problem. The problem and the challenge is when this tool gets placed in human hands, your hands. I mean, this is the problem. So we have to examine ourselves and our use of technology because it gives us a good glance at what idols might be lurking in our lives. I mean, how much control does my phone, does my tablet, does my computer have over my life, or more accurately, perhaps, that which I am accessing through that tool? The idol that stands behind it, how much does that have control of me, or do I have control over my urges and my aspirations? The Bible warns us and talks about these things. We're going to move now from a tech check to a heart check, because that's what matters here. Now that we've done kind of the tech, there's a heart check that comes with holding the responsibility of this technology. And the Bible would warn us over what matters of the heart the Bible can speak to. So don't tell me the Bible has nothing to say about cell phones. You're nuts. No, that's not the case. The Bible would teach us and tell us many things that edify us in this conversation. For example, in 1 Corinthians, you say I'm allowed to do anything, but make no mistake, not everything is good for you. You can do anything, but that doesn't mean that everything is good for you. Even though I'm allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything. The Bible warns against being a slave because you have been set free. You have been set free by the grace, the love, and the forgiveness of your God, the one true God, Jesus Christ. The Apostle Paul elsewhere in the Bible would exhort us to say, look, don't return to the old shackles. Don't return to the chains. Don't go back to the old idols. Don't become a slave again to those fleshy desires that so easily get at us and which we can access so quickly from our phones. God didn't give you, when you became a part of God's family, He instilled in you the power of His Holy Spirit. He pours upon you and He places in you His holy, eternal power, might, and spirit. And with that bestowal, it's not a spirit of fear. It's not a spirit of timidity or anxiety. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? No, He gave you a spirit of power, of love. And the Greek word is self-discipline, self-control. He places in you. You have the capacity and the power and the spirit already in you to exert control over your life so that you can live into the fullness of who God created and intended you to be. So don't sell yourself short, because God's Spirit has already claimed you and is more powerful than any algorithm. I mean, the good news in this is that you don't need to seek other idols. You don't need to go to look for those things that are so easy to get sucked into. You don't need to have other gods because you already have a God. You have a God. And He loves you and cherishes you. And He forgives you. And He cares for you. And you don't need a two-faced, shabby idol that can't live up to what a God really is. Exodus reads, I am the Lord your God. I'm the God who rescued you from the land of Egypt, from the place of slavery. Don't have any other gods but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any other kind of image of anything in the heavens or the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, I'm a jealous God who's not going to tolerate your affection for other gods. Those things don't have a place in your life. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the third and fourth generation of those who reject me. A few better examples of the reality of this verse as it relates to our sin entangled with digital technology. Our habits, parents, are being handed down to our children, and with that, our gods. So be careful. I lavish. Here's the contrary. God lavishes unfailing love. True, lasting, real love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands. You already have a God. Don't forget it. Because that will empower you and equip you and give you the control you need. That when you must pick up the tool, you can do it responsibly and in a healthy, good way. This is why we must talk about this as Christians. So, what does digital tech do in my hands? That's what we're going to be talking about and looking at over these next number of weeks. I'm going to be learning right alongside with you guys. I struggle with this. Here's some books that are on my bookshelf that I want to read this month. I have not read them yet. They've come recommended to me. If you guys want to join me in reading books, maybe you know another book out there. Read it. Send it to me. Drop me an Amazon link. Don't be mad if I don't ping you back in 20 minutes. But please hear my heart. I want to engage with you in this conversation because I want to be that good husband, that good father, that good Christian man, that pastor that God has asked and intended me to be. The full human God meant. And I invite you to become the full human God meant for you too. We'll figure it out together. Sound good? All right, let's pray to close. God, you are good and great, and in your mercy and in your compassion, you are our God. You don't give up on us, even when we get sucked into some really silly and stupid stuff. And we confess to you, it's so easy now. It's just so easy to have access to a whole host of things that can take our focus, our attention, our lives in directions that are ultimately not healthy, not good, Lord. And we confess that to you. We ask that you would use this time to reorient our hearts, to create a fresh heart, that we could engage and wield this tool for good. It is an incredibly powerful tool, and we are ultimately grateful, knowing that it can be leveraged for the betterment of this world and people's lives. And so help us stay focused on that. Give us that spirit of power, love, and self-control that we need this week. Help us do an honest tech check, that it might move us to an honest heart check as we choose to reject the idols that suck us in and instead cling to you, knowing your goodness and grace and finding fulfillment in your presence and power. So grant us your wisdom and your grace in this series. We ask this, Jesus, in your precious name. Amen.